Did you know that to discipline someone doesn't mean what you think it means? So many of us think discipline means spanking or yelling at or telling them what they did wrong. Well, years ago, I taught parenting classes. It was one of my side gigs. And what I learned when I taught that class was very important to me. It stuck with me. And I was just talking to a girlfriend about it recently. And it is this, that to discipline comes from the root word disciple, to disciple someone, which means to guide or to teach. I mean, that really is transformational, because if you think that you're just going to spank the kid and tell them what not to do, that's not the point of it. But disciplining our kids, we're discipling them every single day of our lives. The friend I was talking to is struggling because she has to work outside of the home and she so wants to be with her children. And she said, who is going to teach my children the things that I should be teaching them? And that's why we had this conversation. I don't begrudge any mother that has to work outside the home. I've said that before. But if we have the opportunity and you realize someone is discipling your children, who is guiding and teaching them? Is it the teachers at school? Is it a babysitter? Is it a daycare center? And some of them may be fantastic. Maybe it's your parents, the children's grandparents. But know that no matter what, when children are around other adults, they are constantly being discipled. And I, for one, want to have as much control on that as I can. Praise God, my kids are now adults. And though they're my active parenting is done, I have seen from the Lord that I am still discipling them. It is still my job. Your job is never to stop guiding them or teaching them. I just don't have to beat it in their heads. I don't have to yell at them. I don't have to make them do anything. Just guide their thoughts. I teach them. I teach them through words. I teach them through examples. I teach your children. Hopefully I'm disciplining you. Hopefully I'm discipling you. I pray that only God is discipling me. So if we think about our role as parents, it's exhausting, guys. I remember all those years of raising my children. You're tired. You just want to go to bed. You want your break. And I did work outside the home for a time. I just wanted to see my kids. And I remember, I know it's not a good time, but I remember one babysitter, very short time when I had first moved to New Hampshire. And a friend said, this person would be a great babysitter. It's my sister-in-law. So I went there and I found out that over a month or two into this babysitting that she was smoking marijuana while my children were there. That is not the kind of discipleship that I wanted. I was devastated and I took my children out. But if you're thinking about your children at the house with you each day, they've just done something they shouldn't do. How are you going to disciple them? I'm not against spanking. My kids and I have had that conversation. Sometimes a little child who touches an electrical outlet needs a little smack on the hand to realize that wasn't good. But this conversation is not about that. When we disciple them, when we want to discipline them, your child has just smart-mouthed you or been disrespectful. How do you disciple them? How do you guide them to not do so? My grandson recently was disrespectful towards his mother. I found out about it. My daughter called me and I had an opportunity to talk to him. I wasn't going to yell at him. I wasn't going to say anything to him that his parents had already said. But I did take the opportunity to say, grandson, disrespecting your parents goes against the fourth commandment. I said, it's a mortal sin. And I just want you to get to heaven. That's all I had to say. My daughter called me and said, what did you say? He was nice. And I told her what I said, and I didn't know what kind of an impact it would have, but I praise God, it had a good impact. I allowed him to see the consequences of his actions. I'm not saying I'm fantastic, by the way. I have failed. Well, ask my daughters. I've probably failed more times than I've succeeded. And that's why I can tell you these things now that I'm a grandma and I'm learning how I would undo so many of the things that I did back then. I would do things differently. Not everything. I did some things well. My husband and I did a good job in many ways. So please don't ever think that when I do a video here, I'm self-aggrandizing, because usually my videos are telling you about where I failed and how I would do better. So I just wanted to give you that. If it's the boost you needed to realize, what do you do? What do you say? Do you tell your kids, don't you ever do that again, or I'm gonna? And then you never gonna, and they do it a third and a fourth and a fifth time? Well, you're discipling them all right. You're guiding them and teaching them that mom doesn't mean what she says. Dad doesn't mean what he says. That really, it's just a temporary yelling, and then I get to do what I want. True discipline takes time, takes energy, takes hard work, takes tears. But if you know that your child is going to be a disciple that's going to go off into the world one day, and that what you're teaching them today is going to have such a large part in doing that, hopefully this will give you the energy, the grace, the motivation to say, okay, as hard as it might be to take my child's car away, or his driving privileges, or take away her cell phone, or it may be hard, but hopefully I'm discipling them well into the ways that they should go. So that's your lesson for today. Are you a good disciple of Christ? He was great at guiding and teaching us. And how are you now at disciplining the next generation? Ponder on that. I'd like to hear your comments. Thank you for watching me. As always, I really appreciate it. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon, and I want to thank you for watching this informational Bacon Bit. And I want to remind you always to live your life sunny side up.